What a fun week it's been for video game stuff. Welcome to the week ending news drop podcast kind of thing that I try to do from time to time when we've got some fun news stuff. Feels like Nintendo trolled a bunch of the rumor mill this week for a lot of people thinking that we were going to get Switch 2. Not Switch 2. Yeah, Switch 2. People thinking we were going to get some Switch 2 stuff, and we did not get Switch 2 stuff. We're going to cover that in a second. Dragon Age Veilguard gets released, and of course there's controversy over a Western release game that may or may not have things people don't like in it. So it is spooky season. I'm in my Halloween costume. I'm CM Punk for Halloween. My toddler Bowie decided he wanted to be John Cena, and my wife is big on the family doing group costumes. So he's John Cena, she's Becky Lynch, I am CM Punk. I would have been Seth Rollins if I didn't cut my hair, because I could have done it. Could have worn one of my wife's robes, and just been very flamboyant and laughing and doing the thing. But no, I'm just gonna go for CM Punk, or as I like to call myself, JM Punk, whenever I don CM Punk stuff. Should I trim the beard up for that? I would say let me know in the comments below, but odds are by the time this gets out and everything, I'll probably already be trick-or-treating. So, no. But, yeah, so it's Halloween, it's spooky season. Been playing some Alan Wake, fun stuff like that. Just kind of a recap what I've been doing, man. And playing Alan Wake up here when it's dark at night is creepy, because, like, I had a figure fall from over there yesterday while I was in the middle of, like, a really, like, scary scene, and it almost made me jump out of my shoes. I wish I was streaming for that, because it scared the hell out of me. It would have been great for content. I'd have clipped that and put it on TikTok and gone viral. But yeah, let's talk about some of the news now. First and foremost, Nintendo doing a hell of a troll job. Like, everyone knew announcements or at least one announcement was coming this week from Nintendo, and we got it. I would like to say I, for one, said no, they're not going to announce the Switch 2 this week. We're way too close to holiday season for Nintendo to do that. That would just kill any possible. Not any possible, but most, I think, sales of the Nintendo Switch for Christmas if you announce its successor right before Christmas. So Nintendo is smart to hold off on that announcement. As much as we all want it, we know it's coming, okay, folks? It is coming. It will get here when it gets here. I wouldn't hold my breath about an announcement before January. But the first announcement Nintendo made is Xenoblade Chronicles X is getting a remaster coming to the Switch, which I'm excited for. I missed that game when it came out, and then it shot up in price, which some shady shooting up at price. Like, once it started like shooting up at price, because it was exclusive to GameStop new. Once it started to shoot up in price, GameStop opened up their new copies, which were $50, and started selling for the used price of $100, which is that. And that's more of a reason not to like GameStop as a company. But yeah, so a lot of people missed out on that one, me included, because I think that came out for the Wii, and by that point that it came out, I was kind of done with the Wii. The motion controls forced into everything kind of drove me insane. Like, there was a lot of fun games that had motion control stuff like that for the Wii, but overall it just kept getting forced on you, and I was just like, I don't want this. So that kind of killed the Wii for me, so I just missed out on that game. And then the sequels came out, and I started paying attention. They all look cool, and I was like, but I can't play that first game. I don't know if I want to get into it. So now all of the games in the series are on the Switch. So I was actually looking at Amazon yesterday, and I was like, maybe now's the time to pull the trigger on that, because they would look good in that collection right there while I'm waiting to play them all. They would look good over there. In fact, I get any more Switch games, man, I'm going to have to do some rearranging, because we've got Switch games all the way up to the Nintendo World Championship, US GameCube, and then Japanese GameCube right there. So I'm going to have to do a little rearranging there when I get more Switch games. But yeah, so that got announced. And then Nintendo last night, and I've already downloaded it, mind you. Let me pull it up on the phone. They've got the Nintendo Music. It doesn't want to load right now. Of course it doesn't, because I'm probably still connected to the downstairs Wi-Fi. But yeah, the Nintendo Music. Wow, why aren't you loading? Let's see if there we go. They're loaded. They're loaded. The Nintendo Music app, which is awesome, because I do annoy my family, because I do have some Nintendo songs, mostly Zelda and Mario stuff, downloaded to my phone, and I play on road trips and things like that. And they're just like, why? Why are you doing this to us? Kind of thing. So now they're going to be really annoyed because I have access to just about all the Nintendo catalogs. So that's exciting. But yeah, so those were the 2 announcements. No Switch 2 news. And I just kind of, when I saw the trailer for the music app, my son was like, "You're going to download that, aren't you?" I was like, "You're damn right I'm going to download that." And it was just hilarious. So that was pretty funny. And yeah, we're not getting, again, I don't expect any kind of Switch 2 announcements until after Christmas. It just would not make sense for Nintendo to do that. So, and then let's move on to Dragon Age Veilguard. There's been a lot of controversy around this game, that it's woke and all those other fun buzz terms that we like to argue about when video games. It's kind of a weird thing with video games these days, because like, we went through this era to where all the marketing, all the game making was to teenage boys. I was one of those teenage boys. So we had like big booby, even though they were like pyramid boobs, Lara Croft with tight shirt, short shorts. Those were what we got for female protagonists in games. Look at Dead or Alive 2, Kasumi, and all the others in the Jiggle Effect and things like that. Games were geared towards prepubescent and teenage boys. That's kind of what the bread and butter was. That's who was playing video games all the time. Now the game market has gotten bigger over time. The Wii and PS2 are probably a lot to thank over that, because I think a lot of people bought a PS2 for the DVD player, and then they had a video game player, like I might as well get a couple games. And then the Wii, Wii Sports took off and people were playing that. So probably again, people who probably didn't really play video games, like I'll buy a couple video games for this, different games for it to try it out. So we've got a broader market now. Like those teenage boys from the 90s are now adults, and same with the teenage girls are now adults. So we have different tastes in games anymore. Like I don't buy video games based on boobs anymore, or butts, like I used to as a teenager. Stellar Blade aside, and I'm sure many people same kind of buying habits. So, but there is this. I want to say it's probably a loud minority of gamers that, if you deviate from that formula from the 90s, they want to automatically say it's woke. And I haven't played Veilguard yet. I don't know. I've seen a couple of the clips, and of course all the clips that I've seen are all like isolated, kind of taken out of context kind of thing. So it's one of those things I want to judge for myself. And so I was like, oh, I've got Xbox Game Pass Ultimate. I've got EA Play through that, and they do those 10-hour trial period. So I was like, I'll do the 10-hour trial on that. I'll play it. I'll do due diligence for those 10 hours, get through as much of the story as I possibly can, and I'll kind of report back to you guys and say, this is what I think. I think yes, they're kind of leaning far to the left on this one, and they're going to alienate a bunch of people, or no, it's a much ado about nothing, kind of like with Agatha, with people going crazy on the right side about Agatha. And in all honesty, it is much ado about nothing when it comes to Agatha, as far as any kind of far leftist outcry, or not outcries, but far leftist agenda kind of thing. So I wanted to judge Veilguard for itself on its own merits and say, hey, yeah, no, I mean, this is really going to alienate a bunch of people, or no, it's much ado about nothing. But unfortunately, I cannot. Like EA likes to do with a lot of their big releases, they like to not do that 10-hour thing anymore. Like I remember, I want to say Jedi Survivor was the first game to do that. Wait, was Jedi Survivor the first one? I don't remember. I want to say that was one of the first ones to do it. I know they did it with a pretty big release that everyone was anticipating it, or it might have been Battlefront. No, I'm pretty sure I played Battlefront on the 10-hour thing. But anyways, I'm getting a little distracted. They have it locked, so you can't do the 10-hour trial on it. So I will not be reviewing it. Only because I'm playing through the Alan Wake game now. I've got Call of Duty that just came out. I'm playing Legend of Zelda's Echoes of Wisdom, playing through Space Marine Studio. I got a lot of games to play and not as much time to play them. So a game that I enjoyed, Dragon Age Inquisition, a decade ago, but it's not one of those series that I'm like locked and loaded in like a lot of people. So I'm not I'm not going to spend the $70 to buy the game. Sorry, guys. We get this. We're almost to 200 subscribers now. We're at 192 as of recording. So once we get to 500, and I start to monetize this channel, I can make a little more money to put back in. Then I'll start buying games that I don't necessarily want, but are popular games, so I can review and talk about them. We're not there yet. I have a mortgage. I have children. I have 2 very expensive medical bills to pay because my son got injured playing football. So it's one of those things like gotta tighten those purse strings somewhere. So I'm very disappointed that I could not do that because I've seen a lot of hyperbole from a lot of people who haven't played the game yet, who are just basing all of this off of hearsay, just like isolated clips from trailers and things like that, who haven't played the full game to know what the context of those clips are. So I wanted to find the context of those clips, and I wanted to break the story because, of course, like with apparently only so many people getting review codes and things like that, everyone's like, oh, it's access media, which it very well could be. But also, if you're a company, and are you really going to give a review code out to a reviewer who's already expressed very negative things about your game and might have a predisposition to slam the game based on nothing, just because they already have their preconceived notion of what the game's going to be and everything like that? I mean, if I'm running a business, I'm not going to do that. And you're probably going to give it out to people who have showed favorable opinions about your artistic style. Because, I mean, when it all comes down to it, games aren't about messages. They're about having a fun time playing a game. And yes, there might be content in a game you don't particularly like, but if you're having fun playing the game, you're having fun playing the game. Like, I remember right after I picked up the deluxe edition of Alan Wake, I can't remember, I was looking something up, or I actually think it was a Veilguard tweet thread that I clicked on, and someone said that Alan Wake is woke. And it's just one of those things, like, I'm a little over halfway through the game, and I don't see any quote-unquote wokeness in the game. Like, they're not trying to, they're telling a horror story or a thriller story, and there's nothing in this game that makes me think, like, oh, they are trying to get across some sort of leftist ideology kind of thing. When I say leftist, I'm talking about, like, what people like to perceive as, like, the far left trying to indoctrinate everybody to be, like, drag queens and things like that. It's just not a part of the game. And like I said, I'm a good halfway through the game, so haven't seen that at all. So unless they bombard you with it all at the end, I don't think it's there. So it's gotten to the point to where, for some people, if games are not made like they were in the 90s with a white male protagonist, and if it's a female protagonist, she better have big boobs and big butt and be drop dead gorgeous, then it's woke. There's no, like, nuance or middle ground kind of thing like that. And I will say this for Alan Wake, I'm having a blast playing it. I love the story. The gameplay's fun. So even if it was quote unquote woke, I'm still having fun playing the game, and it doesn't bother me. Same with, like, Overwatch 1, a lot of people were kind of upset because they made Tracer a lesbian, they made Soldier 76 gay, which to me is kind of funny, just given that there's no single player game. You literally just play this type of character and you play a PvP match. So just, I know they want to give characters backstories, but I just found that funny because I was like, regardless of their gender or sexuality, it has no effect on the game whatsoever, or the story, because there is no story, kind of thing like that. But some people got pissed off at that. I didn't care, and it didn't change the fact that the first Overwatch was a fun game to play. I had a blast playing it. Overwatch 2, I don't know what they did. It just doesn't feel, Overwatch 2 just didn't feel right. So, but yeah, it's just one of those things, like, first things first with games, it's got to be about the gameplay. You have to make a game that's fun for people to play. And we all have different ideologies, and we all think about the world differently and the way the world should be or shouldn't be, kind of thing like that. And that when it comes to art and storytelling, things like that, those are going to permeate in the storytelling. So you just kind of have to know going into it Like if a game seems that way, just don't buy it, don't play it. I've always said that. It's like if it's not your cup of tea, don't play it. But at the same time, don't deprive yourself of a fun video game experience just because you might disagree with the morals of the game maker, kind of thing like that. Like right now, I'm updating a bunch of my games, and I'm just like looking at the screen. I see Red Dead Redemption 2 in the queue to be updated. And when you think about those games, you're playing as in both games. You're playing as a killer. You are playing with a person who's a part of a murderous gang. And no one seems to have a problem with that. But if a character happens to be a lesbian or gay, people have a problem with that. It kind of cracks me up where people will scream morality and ideology if they don't like it, as opposed to if it's a game about you're an outlaw cowboy shooting a bunch of people, because you can do terrible things to innocent people in those games, and people do that. So it just cracks me up, the hypocrisy of people when it comes to morality and storytelling and things that should or should not be in video games. I've always said vote with your wallet. If you don't like a game, don't buy it. Don't even waste your breath or waste your typing on X or Instagram or Threads or Facebook going off about a game and how you hate it and you're not going to buy it. Just don't buy it, and honestly, no one cares if you're not buying a game or not, and probably the same amount of people care if you're buying it or not. So yeah, like I said, I really wanted to play Veilguard and see for myself, because I don't want these opinions of people to permeate my brain and make me miss out on a fun game. Because if people are complaining about, I want to say, gay and lesbian relationships in the game and trans characters in the game, which maybe it's because it's being made by or published by EA. I don't know, because doesn't Baldur's Gate 3 have those exact same things in it? And people love it. It was lauded. I didn't see a lot of complaints about wokeness for Baldur's Gate 3. So maybe a lot of it has to do with the company making the game. So I don't know when it comes to all that. All I know is I think these identity politics creeping their way into video games drives me insane, and it's on both sides. It's the right and the left. And I want to say a lot of those people who complain on either side, whether a game is too woke or not woke enough, I don't know why the left complains about stuff. Like, they'll complain if the character's white and male. They'll complain if there's too much violence. Whatever. I think these people on these far end spectrums in video game journalism, I honestly think they're mostly grifters and probably don't really play video games. They just want to get people in a tizzy and a stir to get those clicks, to get that money. I could be very well do the same thing. I could pick a side and yell at you if you're not on my side and get an army of people to join my side in my crusade. But that would just ruin gaming. I mean, it would literally kill gaming as it is. I mean, buy the games you want to buy. Don't buy the games you don't want to buy. Have fun with video games. Video games are fun. It's an escape. It's an escape from all this nonsense in the world, this identity politics, these elections. God, I can't wait for next week for the election to be over, regardless of who wins, because I'm sick and tired of when I watch football, I see Kamala Harris telling me Trump's a monster, and I'm tired of seeing Trump tell me Kamala's an idiot. I want to watch football and not give a shit about politics for 3 hours, or possibly 6. Mostly I just watch my two teams, the Commanders and the Bills. And you're like, Josh, why do you have two teams? This is a video game podcast. I'm not talking about sports, but I'll tell you about sports real quick. I grew up in D.C., so diehard Redskin fan growing up, but my dad's from Buffalo. He's a diehard Bills fan, so when the Bills weren't playing the Redskins, I was rooting for the Bills, and that's just kind of stuck with me my entire life. I've spent many a football season up in Buffalo, going to Bills games, and just hanging out with Bills Mafia before it was popular hanging out with Bills Mafia. So those are my two teams. I still side with the Commanders when it comes to playing. And it's one of those things, it's like after the Skins beat the Bills in the Super Bowl that first time, I was like, well, maybe since the Bills have never won one, if they play again, I'll root for the Bills. Well, now it's been 30 years since that happened, so I might still side with the Commanders if them and the Bills somehow meet in the Super Bowl in the near future. But that's enough football talk. I'm just saying, well, football, as well as video games, is our escape from reality. It's our escape from this world of identity politics where we can't have a civil discussion anymore. It's got to be shouting and yelling at everybody because we don't agree on maybe even one simple issue, and it drives me insane as a person and as a gamer to just hear this noise about games. And I'm glad for the most part I have the determination to ignore it, because it's just one of those weird things, like that tweet I was talking about Alan Wake. If I was one of those people to just avoid a game because it was called woke, I'd be missing out on maybe my favorite game of this year. I'll be doing towards once we hit December at some point. I'm gonna wait for Indiana Jones to come out because that might be my game of the year. But I'm gonna do like a top 10 games of the year and pick a game of the year. But I could be missing out on one of those nominations. You're like, well, Alan Wake came out in 2023. Yes, it did, but I'm gonna say the deluxe edition, which comes with all the DLC and everything like that. That, for me, that gets it in there. It's my top 10 list. It's my rules. So I could be missing out on that experience because I was too afraid of a woke game, which I'm not. If it's a game I'm interested in, I'm gonna play it regardless of any kind of political point of view the game may take, left or right wise. So it's just one of those things. If I feel a game's being too preachy at me and getting in the way of the fun, I'll probably turn it off. But if the message, whether I agree with it or not, isn't ridiculously preachy and it doesn't get in the way of the fun, I'll stick it out and play the game. I remember like, well, that was a fun game to play. The story sucked, but I enjoyed playing the game, kind of thing like that. So that's one of the things I've always been trying to get through to you all, is just like, go have fun, play video games. Try to ignore all the noise, all the people telling you not to play a game because they disagree with the story or the moral that the game is portraying. If the game's fun, give it a chance. Play it. You might enjoy yourself. I mean, and you can just ignore that. You can skip the cutscenes and just play the fun game. Like, for as far as the right is concerned, I'll talk about Space Marines 2, that I've been playing that. That's a very fascist game. That game is all about space fascism, which I don't agree with fascism in one bit. But you know what? You're a big giant dude in a freaking robot suit and you're mauling down these creepy looking aliens. That's fun. The lore and a lot of the story makes zero sense to me because I'm just now getting into Warhammer. But it's fun, and that's what a game should be. It should be fun. So, yeah, so with all the controversy around Dragon Age, if you're a Dragon Age fan, I would say, and you were thinking about buying it before you heard all this talk, I would still say buy it, play it, enjoy yourself, have fun. That'd be my advice to you. Just ignore all the noise and play the game because you like the series. And in the end, you might not like it. And that's one of those weird things about gaming. It's like, oh man, that kind of sucked. But I've bought games like that I was super excited for the game, and I ignored reviews or didn't even see the reviews. I pre-ordered it, bought it, brought it home, and it was garbage. It happens. But from what I've seen from Veilguard, and I have not read the reviews too in depth, I've just kind of glanced. Because like I said, I was going to try to play it on the 10-hour trial to give my own honest opinion, and I didn't want to be influenced by anybody else's opinion. It seems to be getting pretty good reviews. I know like one of them's IGN, and people tend to hate IGN. And I remember when IGN was like the standard for movie and video game reviews. If IGN gave it a good, and because the people at IGN, when IGN first started, were about games and movies, and now it seems like they're about everything else, but that the different reviewers for IGN seem to be about their own political views, and if a game or movie doesn't meet those political views, they give it a bad review. And if they meet their political views, they give it a good review, regardless of the actual content of the game or movie. But that's beside the point. So I remember when it was trusted. And I mean, but aside from IGN, a bunch of other reviewers have given it pretty good reviews. So I would say if you're a fan of the series or you were looking forward to this game, I'd say play it, get it, buy it. Maybe buy it on Steam, play it for a couple hours before you get to that return policy on Steam. And if you end up not liking it, then boom, return it. Kind of thing like that. I mean, if you're on consoles, you're kind of screwed. You buy it, you bought it. But if you have Game Pass Ultimate, you'll save 10% through EA Play if you buy it digitally. So there's always that 10% saved. But yeah, in the end, play the games you want to play. Try not to be influenced by anybody's political views on Twitter, on YouTube, or anything like that. And just worry about the game being fun and enjoyable. And if it's that, who cares what the gender or sexuality or anything about the character is? Because, I mean, it's a video game and all. It's an escape from reality. You don't have to live your own reality there. So just have fun, play video games. That's all you got to do with life, man. Just play video games. That's all there is anymore. There's video games and there's shit. I always do that wrong. There's video games and there's wrestling. Enjoy both. So, but thanks for hanging out here. This turned from like a mini news thing into the ravings of a lunatic, me. But thank you for hanging out for my ravings. Just be good to each other. Be nice. Doesn't cost you anything. Doesn't cost anything to be an asshole either, but it's much better to be nice. Put a smile on someone's face. And happy Halloween, everybody. Go get the candy. Pass out candy. Enjoy yourselves. I'm going to go trick-or-treating with Bowie tonight, and afterwards meet some of the other neighborhood dads for beers and a bonfire, which is always fun. So take care. Be safe out there. Check the kids' candies. I've heard people are putting Dallas Cowboy tickets in kids' bags, so make sure you avoid those Dallas Cowboy tickets. No one wants those. Not even Dallas fans anymore. But have a great night. Talk to y'all later. Bye.